hurts. My head, my hands, my lats and back, my butt, my knees.
This is my story of how I rode this boat across the Pacific Ocean. That's me, Cassidy. Come relive every unforgettable moment with me through the incredible highs and the intense lows during my 38 days, 9 hours, and 3 minutes at sea.
We have another couple days at sea. This vlog is going to cover days 3 and 4. These 2 days continued to show difficult weather conditions. We were still having strong headwinds and strong currents moving in the opposite direction of where we were heading. Because of this, we often had to row on just one side to hold our heading and not get pushed off course. Elaine and I on the oars, but really, we're just on one oar each, just to keep our heading, thanks to Dawn. This better pay off. Due to these unhelpful winds and currents, we actually experienced our first knockdown of the row. A knockdown is when a wave tilts the boat on its side for a brief moment before it tips back upright again. This was the first of many knockdowns we had, and it resulted in a broken oar.
First oar broken.
The race requires us to bring 4 sets of oars, so we would have 8 oars total, and on day 3 we were already down 1 oar. This didn't present as a problem quite yet, but if oars kept breaking, it could present a problem in the future. With these weather conditions, everything was still very physically demanding, but something that helped was we finally switched to a 3 hours on rowing and 3 hours off resting shift schedule. This was so helpful on my body. It made the world of a difference to be physically rested and recovered by the time my next shift came. Even though my muscles and joints started recovering, my sleep and my appetite were still adjusting.
Can't eat. Too nauseous. Trying to eat some.
Because I was still feeling nauseous and not eating a whole lot yet, my body and my mind were extremely fatigued, and I actually started falling asleep on the oars.
Getting ready to go back out on the oars. Hopefully I don't fall asleep this time. Has anyone ever fallen asleep on the oars? They got it, right?
From what I remember through my sleepy state, I would continue the motion of rowing, but I would legit be sleeping while doing that. I'm sure that there are other rowers out there who have done the same thing. It's definitely not an effective way of rowing, but sometimes you just can't control it. You're so tired. On day 3, I wasn't able to eat any freeze-dried meals, but I did drink 2 cups of dehydrated vegetable broth. We had these super cool packets of vegetable broth, and they were a game changer in these early days. They tasted good, they were warm, which helped in the cold weather, and they provided a little bit of energy. On day 4, I was able to eat a granola freeze-dried breakfast and a few snacks, and this was a good sign as I started to eat a little bit more each day. Something that I learned on days 3 and 4 were to never take the ocean for granted. You always have to be alert and aware and on your toes out there because the ocean is unforgiving.
Okay. You cannot take your mind and your tension off the ocean for even half a second because she will put you in your place. Lots of waves knocking us on the side. Had a knockdown. Got a broken oar.
The second your mind drifts to something other than ocean rowing is the second you get smacked by a wave, turned off course, spun around. It was without fail, anytime I stopped thinking about our heading, our speed, the motion of rowing is when I would get splashed with a wave or our off-course alarm would start beeping. And I just started to realize, like, the ocean is no joke and you can't take her for granted.
You think you know the ocean and you just have no idea. We're dealing with at least 30 plus mile per hour winds, 20 to 30, maybe more foot waves, and you're just staring at them coming at you, and you have no idea if this is going to be the wave that tips you over. It's brutal and it's beautiful all at the same time.
You have to treat her right and she will treat you right. Not only did the state of the ocean change very quickly and dramatically, but so did my mental state. I would go from so positive and encouraged to just very defeated and struggling within shifts. I would just go from feeling like I was on top of the world and nobody could stop me and like nothing mattered, but I was just so happy.
End of day 4, going into night 4. This is what my hands look like. Pretty good. Haven't gotten seasick. I think I was born to be an ocean rower.
To just doubting everything I was doing, feeling like we were unsuccessful, and just wondering why I was out there.
Everything hurts. My head, my hands, my lats and back, my butt, my knees.
This also proved true with news we would receive from safety officers, our weather router, and occasionally family. It was always so great to hear from these few people, and we would hold on to their every last word. But this meant that the good news was powerful and so encouraging. It gave us the biggest of morale boosts. But then the bad news felt extremely discouraging. Updates of mostly our position in the race is what impacted my mental state and my mood. Our position in the race, our estimated time arrival to finish the race, and any chance of passing a team changed hourly. And it wasn't always a positive change. Although I loved getting these updates and often requested for them, looking back, it really did play a role into how I was feeling because you just don't have control. You don't have control of the weather conditions. You don't have control over how other teams are rowing and the direction they're rowing in. You don't even have control over what your teammates are doing. You only have control over yourself. And so looking back, I realized that hearing of our race position and our estimated time arrival and the opportunity to potentially pass a team, although it was so exciting when it was positive news, it was very detrimental when it was negative news. But these days also had some positives. We had received another visit from our friend Dodo.
Okay, we've had this bird hanging out with us pretty much the last 2 days. We named him Dodo and he just brought us a friend. But Dodo just hangs out with us right next to our boat all the time. He'll leave for a little bit and then he'll come back. But I think he's leading us in the right direction. He's always pointing the way we need to be going.
And we were just enjoying life at sea. We were laughing together. Elena and I had created our first hit single.
We just keep getting on this boat again. We are rowing hard and fast, so we don't get to quiet last.
There were just some funny moments on the boat these couple of days.
Someone pooed in the bucket, and when they threw it overboard, it went on the oar, and Elena got it on her hand.
And although not every moment was happy and positive and fun, overall, these days and the whole race was just a good experience. Being able to look back at some of these highlights is really what makes me remember why I did it, why I enjoyed it, and why I would probably do it again if I could. And of course, our day 3 letters. Day 3 is from my papa. He says, "Hello, sweetheart. I'm pulling for the 4 of you lovely young ladies to have a wonderful, safe experience and lots of fun. Hoping all goes well. Love you so much. Your favorite, Papa." And as always, the card is right on par. We were definitely having lots of fun at this point. And then day 3 from Trenton. His card says, "By now you're probably settled into a routine. Embrace the challenge and try to find bliss in your everyday routine. Every wave is pushing you closer and closer to Kauai. I hope you're staying warm and I hope the butt flaps were worth every penny." The waves were not pushing us closer to Kauai at this point. If we were to stop rowing, we would have ended up back to California. So that's funny. And the butt flaps he's talking about is pertaining to our foul weather gear. Our foul weather gear were full on overalls and a big jacket over top of that. So the butt flap he's referring to is a zipper around the waist of the overalls where you could just unzip that when you needed to use the bucket and pull the bottom half down instead of taking the jacket off, taking the overalls off. It was a lifesaver. It was so much nicer than having to take everything off, especially in the cold. So they were doing us well. That's a wrap for days 3 and 4, and I will see you next week for day 5.